On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we are back in the shop with my 2009 Volvo S80, and we just had a week of non-stop rain, and that rain, or the storms, have destroyed my Volvo, and I'm going to tell you why. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today, like I said, we are back in the shop with my 2009 Volvo S80 that I bought in Savannah, Georgia, drove back across the country, and then we've spent quite a bit of time sorting out all the little issues with it. And we finally got all the lights off the dash. And I was like, well, we're basically wrapped up. We're waiting on a couple of parts, which actually I need to run inside. They just showed up, and we'll put those on today. And then I went out to drive it yesterday because we needed to go get some parts for the Lincoln. I got in and found out all the electronics don't work anymore. I can't make this up. We get in the car, no AC, no climate control, no radio. Basically, every button in the car no longer works. So this isn't an uncommon problem with Volvos. Apparently it happens to quite a few people, and the culprit should be the CEM, or Central Electronic Module, in this car. And I'm sure what happened was this was outside in the storms, and somehow some water came in through a seal, or maybe it got clogged up in here because there were a couple leaves in here. And once you get like a big pile of water, it does find its way into the car, either through sunroof drains, through a seal that's damaged on a door, or especially through the cowl. Look at that, you can see there's kind of a little puddle looking mud trace right there, because guess what? Maybe it wasn't draining. Proper drainage on cars is so important if they're outside, and if they ever end up around a tree that produces a lot of trash. Like, you guys remember that this had been sitting outside for over a year and it was covered in stuff when I went and picked it up. Well, that stuff eventually takes its toll on cars and takes things out. It doesn't really matter what the car is. I've never seen one that can beat Mother Nature at its own game. And on this one, the same thing has happened. And apparently there is water in the CEM connectors that are over here, or in the CEM connectors that are under the dash. So today, I'm gonna show you what's wrong. Let's fire it up right now, and then we're gonna try to fix it. I spent a lot of time cleaning all the drains on this car, and I thought I had it. I was like, it's gotta be totally sorted now. There can't be any further issues. And apparently, well, there still are. So we'll start this thing up. The key's in here. Runs great. Dash looking great. Nothing. I know, it's kind of weird. Like, the lights are on here, and we've got the phone icon, but the radio no longer works. No buttons over here work. No climate buttons work. I can't turn on the fan. The only thing in the car that doesn't depend on any computers, because the federal government requires it, of course, is the hazards. None of this works, obviously. Cruise works, right? Oh. No, it doesn't. Cruise doesn't turn on. Wow, I was sure that those were gonna work. Windows work, mirrors still move, and the lights work. That's it. Everything else in the car is dead. Hey, the electric parking brake still works. But unfortunately, we need to go start by disconnecting the battery, I think, and then start by tearing the car apart. So the battery on the Volvo is the easy one here. Oop. Get this guy open. Oh, we also have to reinstall the hood insulation. All the clips on this have broken. They do that from heat on the Volvo. Honestly, pretty common. It doesn't matter what the car is. If you use plastic clips to hold something together in an engine bay, well, they get hot and get brittle and eventually break. So I went to the Volvo dealership. This is a sidebar, and I returned that chrome strip. And I was going there to return the strip and buy the clips for the hood mat. And they were like, you might be better off finding those clips somewhere else. And I was like, why? I mean, if you just give me maybe 4 of them, it would hold the mat on, no problem. And they were like, well, they're like $4.13 each. This little piece of plastic. So for $9.75 after tax on the old internets, I got a bunch of them. And of course it says 4 hood insulation on the 40, the XC60, XC70. Basically, this is a Volvo only clip. It's not a push fastener. It's a nonsense design that Volvo made for P2, P3s. And here they are. So I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall the hood insulation right now, and you can see that these snap into these big slots right there. I mean, obviously they've got a lot of surface area that holds, but these actually seem pretty quality. They seem like perfect clones of the Volvo ones. So I'm not upset about that. And just know if you're breaking them on your car, $4 plus each, or hop on Amazon. It's the only place you can get these. And there you have it, hood insulation reinstalled, and it only cost even half of that. So maybe $4 total for all of the clips on there. And those are also used in the trunk liner. So it's good to have a bunch of those on hand if you actually work on Volvos. Or, you know, if you work on anything special, you end up getting all the special clips and special tools for every model. It's really hard working on every model. Like on BMWs, where if you have to work on the battery, you have to have those T-bar clamps that BMW likes to use for, this needs to be done with a socket, honestly. There's like no way to get that off there, but they use little T-bolts for their batteries. So you just end up keeping those in stock after you do enough BMW. Let's see if we can get the battery disconnected now. There we go. All right, let's go looking for the CEM. Look at that, there's one of the broken ones right there, hanging out on the AC compressor. Okay, CEM on the Volvo is hiding over here on the passenger side. I'm gonna start by trying to get this floor mat out of here. You'd think it'd be wet, but I don't feel any water in here. So go ahead and pull this guy out. It does look slightly discolored right there, but it doesn't look bad. Like normally you can see rain damage. There it is. So what we're going for is this entire module right here. I think we're gonna have to take the glove box out to actually get to it. So let me figure out what we need to do for that. It looks like this plastic piece right here has got to come off, and all the screws on here need to come off. So to get to the CEM, first pop this off. It's got 3 clips. You pull right over here and then it just kind of pops out. No big deal over there. That takes like 1 second. Then you have to take off this black piece that goes underneath the entire dash. There are 2 T20s on there, and then there's 6 more T20s that hold the glove box in. And then after you get all those T20s out, there's an 8 way back up in here inside the glove box, and another 8 way back over here. And then after that, you know, disconnect these 2 connectors and the glove box just slides out. Don't disconnect the light on top of the glove box, so it's like right in here. The green connector is actually the light. So learn from me, I did disconnect the light first. But then we're up under the dash now, and we can see the CEM, which is this giant white plastic module right here. And it looks like it's actually very easy to take out too. It must slide out like this way and that, and it slides right out. But the internet says just reseat all these connectors, and they actually say just to reseat these 2. So push on the middle of this cam lock connector right here and release it like this. You'll see this will have to slide, and it's probably never been out. I'm gonna reseat every connector on here too, not just that. No corrosion. Let's go ahead and keep messing with this one. It's gonna need a wiggle at the same time, isn't it? There it goes. All right, let's look inside here and see if we can see problemos. Huh? Those look pretty nice to me. I actually don't see any water damage in here at all. So it might be a failed CEM, which would be devastating. Now that that one's out of the way, we can repeat down here. And this one's much harder because there are wires in the way of it. All right, I need both hands, so I'm gonna put you guys down for a second and keep reseating connectors. Here we go, here is our culprit. This is basically like the Dodge thing that's always broken. I can't think of the name of it, but the solid state control unit that runs the fuel pump and everything like that. The PDM. And this is the CEM, and you can see it has fuses hiding in here. I'm gonna check all these fuses just to see if maybe we lost one, but there is no corrosion in any connector on the CEM here. I don't see a single bit. Obviously power in is those 2 giant spade terminals right there on that connector, and then everything else is in these big multi-pins, and Ford built it, of course. Good old Fomoco logo on there. I'm gonna clean this up, and I'm also gonna pull the top off it real quick because it looks like you can just take a little screwdriver and pop all the tabs. I just want to see if there's any burnt traces or anything that looks weird on the board. Well, I got the CEM out of there. It's actually very simple to pop the tabs and then give this thing a little wiggle, and look at this. It is a very, very well-built part. So a lot of nice relays on there, Hella and Omron basically, a couple NECs, and all the high power stuff sits on the top side of the board here, and then all the controls and logic are on the bottom on that PCB. And the logic PCB is totally coated in conformal coating. So even if it did get wet, it would probably survive. Nice big cap right there. And I shined a light through here and looked for anything burnt. And honestly, every single component looks nice. So what we're down to is blowing this thing off with some air, reassembling it, and checking every fuse. So I'm gonna go ahead and ohm out all the fuses real quick with the meter and blow this thing off, reassemble the case, and put it back in here. Everybody says that just reseating the connectors does it, but I really wanted to go in here and have a look around to see if something serious happened on the board. You never know. But honestly, it looks great. So why is this thing broken? Well, we checked all the fuses and there was only one that was dead, and it's this 5 amp right here. And it's blown. All right, time to look up what this fuse is. I hope it's not the climate control or the waterfall and we did all this work for nothing. But it's a blown fuse nonetheless, so something's wrong. Well, Pelican Parts says that that fuse is the alarm module and the electronic cruise control, which we can assume doesn't work anyway because the alarm goes off the second you do anything in this car. If you lock it, if you, it just always has, right? And that's a well-known issue with these two, that the alarm modules are bad. So now it's time to reassemble this thing and put it back in the car. So I'm putting it back in its case right now. It looks like the connectors do go, the connector tabs go inside of the white plastic here. And everything's seated. The bottom board snapped into place. So we can put the cover on, and we'll go ahead and replace that fuse and see if it makes a difference. I really don't think it's the difference maker, but it could be something. At least this is easy to work on. If it was a burnt trace, it's very repairable. They weren't messing around. One reassembled CEM. Let's put it back in the car and throw another 5 in here. Some of these fuses have been swapped too, and I might do a little wiggle on all of them just to see if it's a connection issue at a fuse. Well, I just pulled this 15 out of there and you can see that it's probably been hot, right? The legs are very black and it was also completely covered down each side with white corrosion. And that doesn't line up with what I'm seeing in there at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and just toss that fuse. We're gonna put a new one in there, and I have a new 5 amp right here to put right there. And all the other fuses have been reseated. Except for that 10, I gotta flip that one around so that all the numbers point the right direction, and we're gonna try again. Honestly, getting the CEM in and out of here is really nice because it is toolless. There's just a tab that you push up on right here, that little metal tab. That's all you have to do. And then you tilt it out and pull. It's so simple. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 connectors. I did go ahead and remove that off the tab. You don't have to, that little black nib right there that's holding that connector. And I did pull the wiring harness off of there on that clip, but so easy to get it in and out. It is toolless. So it's back in, all the connectors are closed. The carpet sits weirdly. It probably isn't supposed to. It's probably been in and out before or replaced before, but now let's hook the battery up and see what happens. Oop. Tighten this down just a little bit so we don't have a terrible connection, and then let's hop inside and hope the display and center console and everything lights back up. This is not good. It's all dead. It's all dead. And there wasn't even a trace of water down there or on the CEM. No white traces on any of the PCBs. And like I showed you guys, it was covered in conformal coating. Why is this thing dead? All right, guys, I put the CEM back in like I showed you, and there were still no lights, no controls on the dash. And then I hooked up my Autel and found there was no power at the OBD2 port. Again. And you guys know when I first got this, the OBD2 port wasn't working. So I pushed the wires back into the back, So I just assumed the wires have come back out of the OBD2 connector. So I removed the OBD2 connector and tried to talk to it with the USB cable hooked up from the Autel, because obviously that's pretty critical. Usually, sometimes if you don't have power from the OBD2 port, you either can inject it or you can use the USB cable to power the VCI down there, and that will let you still talk to modules, anything that still exists on the bus. Well, I was having no luck with any of that. No USB cable luck, and I don't have my OBD2 breakout box in here. I can't find it, it's in the house. But I have one where we could have fed power in. Gave up on that. I was like, let's check every fuse in this car again. And the 5 that I just put in, completely destroyed. So I went back over to my spare fuses, grabbed a 7.5, plugged it in, everything came back. Instantaneously, everything came back. And that, of course, is that alarm and ECC fuse for the cruise control. And even the OBD2 port power came back. So I don't know what it is. There might be a little bit too much of a draw, but we're gonna put a 5 back in, see if the 5 blows. And I don't think it will, because the 7.5, I pulled it out, put it on my lip, right? The way I always check for heat, it was perfect. It wasn't hot at all. So it wasn't even about to blow. And if it was a dead short, it would have blown. So I don't know what's going on in here, but we've got it all back. And I think we're just gonna go back to the 5 and see if it works right now. Honestly, it's a bit incredible that everything in this car that matters is powered by a single 5. You can tell it works. The AC kicked on instantly. And there's all the lights. Everything's back, and the OBD2 reader is firing up. Unbelievable. I wouldn't doubt it if there was like just a hair of water somewhere, and when I put the new fuse in while it was running and we had enough voltage, it blew or burnt the water out of the way from whatever was going on. All I know is we're gonna get this outside right now and go drive it for a while to let it kind of burn in. I wanna make sure we don't have any future problems. Let me remount the OBD2 port, reassemble everything, and we'll go from there. I'm finding more of these clips we just replaced all over the place, and we're also putting the last piece back. Here's the interior, there it is. All right, I'm gonna vacuum real quick because I made a bunch of dirt down here in the footwell, and then we're gonna take this thing out for its next maiden voyage. Maiden voyage number 3 or something like that. We are so back. We've got cruise control, we've got failures, tire pressure low. I assume there's actually a tire that's low at this point because we fixed all the TPMS a long time ago on this car. So if it's saying there's one low, it's probably, you know, just a little bit low. So I'll get back to the shop, I'll check that. Right now we're headed to the car wash. I know, more water, right? And we're gonna clean this thing up because it has been sitting outside for so long. It's looking filthy. And then I think we're saying goodbye to the S80. Hopefully this is the last time I have to fix anything on it. One of the back tires was at 30 PSI. We are so back. No lights on the dash again. Everything's working. Radio, climate, all the buttons in the rear, all the buttons in the front, cruise. It's all back, and I just took it to the car wash, wiped the whole car down again after that, so it's looking pretty crispy, and I think that means it's time to part ways with the S80. So we can get back onto the Lincoln. And that was the only reason I brought it out, was so I could go get parts for the Lincoln. So anyway, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop, WatchJRGo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. Mission accomplished. Got the clock reset again. Had to remember that you turn the knob in the instrument cluster. Drives great. Woo! It's really a great car. I wish I needed it.